Yeah, I actually think I'm the strongest man who ever lived.
Well, there was one guy that was a little bit stronger than KAZ in 80
Come on! Damn it!
and KAZ in 82. Probably the strongest man in the history of the world, KAZ in 81. That's my take on it.
Legs! Strongest legs, right here!
Yeah, you know, who's the strongest ever? You get the guys today. Zadrunas is just unbelievable in the things he does. Brian Shaw, the same. You know, even Hafthor Bjornsson. How would I have beat him in a loading, in a running, carrying race? It would have been really tough. It would have been a lot of work. And, you know, capacity, that was then, this is now. Times have changed. So, strongest guy ever, it just keeps changing every year. Gosh, top 3 in the history of the world. I thought about this for a long time. Without KAZ, I guess that makes Zadrunas Savickas number 1. I'm looking at Brian Shaw number 2. And, gosh, O.D. Wilson, Eddie Hall. The school's out. I mean, there's going to have to be top 10. Let me give you that one in the future. Man, it leans more towards static lifts, both feet firmly planted, at least doing a heavy squat, a heavy deadlift. I like chest strength. We never seem to show it. Overhead strength. Those are the basics. And then some sort of movement, but not very far. I like a yoke lift where you're lifting 1,500 pounds, carrying it 15, 20 feet, moving a really heavy wheelbarrow like they did in the Ladifi Mark 10 back in the 80s. It was literally 900 pounds in the hands to go 20 feet. It was a Herculean effort for most of the guys. So I like the heavy strength, not so much of the running. Right? I really wish that John Paul Sigmarsson would be around today, because as old men, we could be poking each other and having a bit of a jab and jibs and cracking on each other and having fun with this sport, because it was truly he and I who forged the iron and moved the rock and got the sport going where, gosh, man against man, man against implement. Let's see who's the strongest. And the sport grew from there. And I'm really happy that I'm still here and around the events, because it truly is a joy for me to sit on top of the mountain and look down and see all the others climbing their own mountain. Sumo wrestling, Dave Waddington. I know you're listening. Dave, back in that day, no one knew that both my legs were torn. I couldn't even walk. It was King Kong against Godzilla. As I stood before him, I saw him wanting to rip my head off. We fought against each other like gladiators. Finally, I moved in deep. He went to rip my head off. I did the turtle. I spun in his hands. I fell on top of him. I meant to do that. But I truly was stronger than him. And it really was an amazing event. But Dave didn't know, neither did John Gamble, that both my legs were torn and I couldn't even walk. I had to go, wah! And just kind of scare them out of their wits. Jeff Capes was phenomenal as an athlete. And as a strongman, he was truly adaptable. He could pretty much assess what was going on with all the events, knew his own capabilities, and rose to the level for each occasion to be able to beat the others. And he actually admitted a couple of times, he said, Bill beat me, I could never come close. He's the strongest man who ever lived. So I give Jeff Capes a lot of credit and kudos for that, because he admitted that he was second place or below behind the KAZ. But Jeff Capes, to me, it's hats off. I want to be able to look back and realize that I did make an impact, because I think that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. But actually, the gifted can do the impossible. And I was given many gifts, some through the power of prayer, some from other people, being educated on how to lift and how to become strong and how to be a good man. I want people to realize that, you know, they too, when I share these gifts with them, can climb those mountains and do incredible things. When I look back, I'm not sure that there's too many things that I would do less of. I trained and overtrained, where in 49 days, I did 49 workouts, sometimes 2-a-days, and I was never really recovered. So my back was always sore. My legs were sore. I only waited 2 days between heavy squat and deadlift to go again. And in doing that, if I would have slowed down, the great deadlifters of today are going every 2 weeks, every 10 days. So I probably could have been a whole lot stronger by training a whole lot less. For me, Eddie Hall is the kind of guy that I've just kind of, and I pour energy into him every time I get near him, every time I see him. When he lifts that 462, 464 for the world record, the crowd's going to be going nuts. And you'll probably see this little trinkle down my cheek, and my voice might go a little bit like this. And I'll go up there and give him a big man, strongman hug and go, thank you. That was a beautiful experience. So he'll get a big kick out of it, but emotionally I think it will. It's sort of like me being covered on a hot day with ice cubes and ice water. Whew, what a chill and what a thrill.